in your opinion, what's something that you have done personally that maybe no one knows about, or something that you've implemented into your game plan on how you're going to achieve things? What would that one thing be that you know would make an impact on someone's life that's out there listening right now, that's like, I want to make a change. What's my first move? What is that?
I've got your answer.
Let's hear it.
I take time back into my day by getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning or earlier.
Yeah.
Sometimes a little later, but generally speaking, I give myself almost 2 to 3 hours every morning to focus on things that I need to do or want to do, that otherwise the day takes over and I get too busy and they never get done.
Yeah.
And you know the power of that because you do it with me, or you do it sometimes without me when I'm not on my regular regimen, right? And that started 8 years ago when we first started moving here. We read a book called
Living Forward?
Nope. Try again.
I don't remember.
The Miracle Morning.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And I don't really remember anything about the book.
Is that why that started?
Except that the guy said, get up at 5 a.m. And we adopted that and probably heard it in Tools of Titans. And, as we continued educating ourselves and reading more books by the people that were doing things that we wanted to do or in the direction that we wanted to do them in, we found that that was a common thing that people did. Right? So we started implementing it all those years ago. And we would get up and nobody knows and nobody sees it. And we're not posting about it every day on our story. We're not really talking about it. We just get up. Some days I get up, I have my coffee and I read. Some days I get up, I have my coffee and I write. Some days I get up, I have my coffee and I think. It just gives me a chance to do the things that I want to do or need to do before anybody else takes control of my day, or the demands of all of my different hats that I wear take over. Game changer.
It sucks. Sometimes you're tired because you stayed up watching, Netflix the night before, and you watched that one extra episode. So maybe you're not getting as much sleep as you'd like, but it does make you feel like a badass the rest of the day, knowing that you got up at 5 a.m. and you give yourself that time, whatever it is. It might be someone out there listening might think like, hey, I don't have time to work out. I just can't fit it in. I don't have time. But maybe 5 a.m.'s the secret sauce here to buy that time back. There's a cost to everything. You're costing sleep, but that's what the weekend's for. You can get caught up on your sleep and kind of recharge the battery. But having that time, I would agree, is magical, and it's very empowering. It builds confidence because doing something for yourself during that time makes you feel better about yourself. And then you can give more the rest of the day because you don't feel like you're going to be in a hurry to get things done, so you can get your time back. You've already done everything for yourself for the day that you feel satisfied, and you're just giving of yourself the rest of the day.
It's momentum. You start your day off. It sucks almost every day. Let's be honest. Like the alarm goes off and it's like, shit, I don't have to get up right now. I could sleep a couple more hours and I'm tired. But just like anything else, it's usually like the first 5 minutes of just accepting what is and getting your foot out the door, and then you're good to go. And especially as you continue to do it on a regular basis, it just then becomes something that you do because time and time again, you wake up, it sucks for a minute, you get up, you survive, and then you see how much benefit there was into the way that you felt or the progress that you're making. And then you want to do it again. And you're willing to endure that 5 minutes of suck, like, ugh.
I think for me, it makes me more relaxed during the day, because I've done something for myself and it just makes me feel better the rest of the day.
Well, how many times do you, when you don't get up and you don't take that time for yourself, how many times then do you swirl in a tornado of anxiety all day about the things that you want to do that you're just never going to get to because there's not enough time and I'm being pulled in this direction. And now my son needs me and I need this time for myself, but I'm not going to get it. Now I got to try to do it tomorrow. And now I'm frustrated.
Yeah.
Fix it.
And then at the end of the day, you're just like, okay, I gave all day and didn't get to do what I really wanted to do. And this project or whatever, is just keeps kicking the can. So it's
That's
just
right.
one. And I think when we first started doing the 5 a.m. thing, we would write 5 handwritten notes.
Yeah.
And because that's something too, the power of that helped us build our business up, is like sending personal handwritten notes. Otherwise you would never have time to do that during the day if you're go
Yeah, because this email came in and it's way
Yeah.
more important than writing a handwritten note right now. Right. But it tackled it. It got rid of that like really important task that we wanted to make sure that we accomplished every day. It was done. Momentum. Check. Chip away at the day.
It's a little victory. Yeah.
That's right. And that was what we did back then. And that was at a different phase of what we were doing in our life. So now, I use that time for me and my own personal stuff, my writing, my reading, like I referred to. But like there was a time before that where I used that time to get up and get my workouts in when I was doing bodybuilding. And I needed to make sure that I got that cardio in first thing in the morning. And if I woke up late and the day got away from me, I was mad at everybody. And it wasn't anybody's fault but my own, because I didn't make sure that I got up and got the day going. But I have a question for you, because I'm a morning person. I mean, it still sucks. Like waking up early to an alarm sucks. And there are days when I sleep in. So don't get me wrong. But I am typically more of like a lark. I don't mind getting up super early in the morning. And I've always been that way. But
What's a lark?
It's the opposite of a night owl. It's like a morning person.
Okay.
You're an owl, I'm a lark. Well,
okay.
I taught you something today. But at night, like 9, 10 o'clock, I'm ready for bed. And sometimes I don't always go to sleep, but I'm like ready to get in bed. And usually I do go to sleep pretty quickly. Mama likes her sleep. But like you're a night owl and you're very productive at night. I'm done. I'm spent. But you're very productive at night. And so how have you like gotten up at 5 a.m., but then still had your night owl time? And how do you differentiate when you need one versus the other? Because there are some people who aren't morning people. They're like, get a burst of energy at night and could go all night long.
Yeah. That's tough because I want it all. I love to sleep, but I wish I didn't have to sleep because there's just so much that you want to do. And I feel like I'm grateful for the way that our time is set up and our schedule set up, that there's some flexibility in there. And if I do feel an inspiration late at night and I'm not tired, that I can stay up and go for it. It's just, I'm going to have a nap the next day or just extra caffeine. But I mean, for me, it's like wherever the energy flows. So just getting better at that. Like if I feel tired at 9 o'clock, like tired, I need to go get some sleep, being in touch with how I feel and not just like abuse that, because it's just a battery, and if my battery's low, even if I'm like wanting to go work on music or, do something late at night, the result's probably not going to be the best because I'm low, I'm tired. But it's just an energy thing. And I feel like if I'm inspired and excited about something, a project that I'm working on, and I can just go 24/7 and not sleep, but I just have to be self-auditing of that. And sometimes you'll come in and it's like 2 a.m. and I'm in there like mixing a snare, and I'll feel you looking at me and you're like,
and I'm angry because I'm mad in the middle of the night.
You need to go to sleep. You're gonna be tired and worthless tomorrow.
I do. I'm guilty of that for sure.
Because
I'm always like, how are you going to get up in 3 hours? Like, this is not going to work,
Yeah.
But that's not for me to decide.
Yeah.
But sorry, you get the wrath of my middle of the night sleep anger. It's funny because we did that for so long and then we got away from it a little bit and then we get back into it and away from it. It's life, that's what people do. Habits come and go and that's fine. But like, how magical it is when you re-implement it and you're reminded really quickly of how great you feel, like taking that control back in your day. And it was our friend at dinner that night that was like, why aren't you getting up and like writing first thing in the morning before you get yanked around all day? And it was like, thank you for the reminder. I needed that. I needed that to kick me back in the habit.
And that's a great example of why it's so important to have people in your life that are inspiring, that push you for greatness, that are doing more than you, and that you can look up to mentorship. Because you're right. It just takes one person giving you this idea, and then you just run with it. And you're like, oh my God, yeah, this was what made a difference in our life more than anything else. Getting up at 5 a.m.
And what's so cool is that what you said, like surrounding yourself with the right people who push you to improve, who challenge you, who give you ideas. It also then comes back to that statement that we say a lot, like, I can only keep what I have by giving it away. Because then how many people, I mean, we're sharing it right now, but how many people individually have you shared that with? The magic, like, try this. And I know one person in particular that just yesterday texted me and was like, I've been getting up. The first thing I do is go work out. The second thing I do is spend 30 to 45 minutes writing. It doesn't matter what I'm writing, short stories, long story. He's a writer. He's a published author, excellent writer, wasn't doing it and didn't have the time, and has made the time and just feels so inspired and so in control and so invested in himself that I wouldn't have given that to him recently if our friend at dinner hadn't reminded me and we were experiencing it. So it's a ripple effect that you just have no idea.
Together.
Yeah. You know, have no idea how big the ripple can be by just listening, being open, implementing, and sharing, you know? That's what this is all of it.
That's your one thing. Hey, if you do this, you will see an impact. What's another thing?
I hate the word discipline. I'm going to say consistency. So I think they're probably a little bit interchangeable. I just feel like discipline feels like a chore. It has kind of this heavy connotation, but like consistency is a little bit lighter. And I think that the 5 a.m. thing, the consistency plays into that. But I think everything else in my life, even if I wasn't getting up at 5 a.m., if I'm consistent, you make progress and you can feel good about it. It's not really about waking up tomorrow and chopping down the tree. It's about waking up tomorrow and chopping a little bit and making little dents, right? Chipping away for whatever the goal is. And it feels really bad when you start something and then you stop and you don't see progress, and it just all feeds itself. So if every day there's like a little bit of momentum in whatever area, and you make sure that you're hitting all of those buckets, that makes, in the long run, major progress.
Consistency, that's a great one. I wasn't even thinking about that one.
And it doesn't matter, like consistency in my diet, consistency in my workouts, consistency in my relationships, in my business, just the general overarching word, consistency. Consistency will win every time over.
And it allows you to, when you do mess up, if you're on a diet and you do binge on a big bowl of ice cream, being consistent, knowing that the next day we're back at it because we're consistent, and telling yourself you're consistent. We're way more consistent than we really realize. I think, I forget what the stat is, but 95% of our day is on autopilot. We don't really realize that. It's all just happening and we're just so used to it. So all you're doing is hacking that process and implementing, say, 5 a.m. and then you're just consistently 5 a.m. Or if you're consistently eating right, like getting used to that process. Eating is a great example. Like when we were following a strict diet and it was consistent, there was no thinking. That was probably the best part about that time, was just that there was no thought behind it. It was like, oh, the alarm's going off. It's 3:00 in the afternoon. Time to have our rice cakes and protein pudding.
Yeah,
that, like
zombies.
just getting my pellet.
Yeah.
And now it's like, if you're not following a plan, you go to the pantry and you're like, what do I want to do here?
Yeah.
And you got the angel and the devil. What's my decision? So
Yeah.
that's a great example of like, if you have a consistent plan, that it does make your life so much easier. So
yeah. And I think like that could be a whole different conversation, because that goes into setting yourself up for success, right? Having a plan is a completely different conversation. I had a coach once tell me success is adherence to the plan. Amazing. 100% true. But the plan is nothing without consistency in implementing it, right?
mm-hmm.
So consistency is going to win every time. Having a plan is another thing, but just doing it, it becomes what you do.
What else? What else would you say if someone said, "Hey, I want to make changes in my life. What can I do today that's going to start that ripple effect?" So we got 5 a.m. We've got being consistent with the plan, whatever that is. And what else would you say?
Whatever you need to do to make sure you stay right here, present in this moment. So those two things are great. But if I'm worried about what I did or didn't do, or the ice cream I ate last night, the consistency in my plan today is going to be ruined by a bad mindset. So I'm going to be plagued with regret and anxiety. If I'm worried about what I'm going to do tomorrow or next weekend, I'm not going to be focused on what I'm actually accomplishing or achieving right now. So 5 a.m. consistency, and probably not in that order necessarily, but staying present with myself, present and honest with where I am right now.
How do you do that? How do you do that?
I've done it in many different ways over the years. I think meditation has been a way that I've done it. I think deep breathing is a way that I've done it. So, there's so many different ways to do it. People do it with cold plunging. I love getting in the cold water because I can't be anywhere but right there, focused on breathing,
Mm-hmm.
So, but I think probably the thing that I do most often myself currently, and wherever I am in the world, in the car, at my desk, is ask myself the question, like, what evidence do you have to support what you're thinking about? Is this something that you can take care of right now? Is it the task at hand, or is this something that you were doing yesterday? Like, you got to let it go. I have an inner dialogue, I think, that allows me to do that at this point, that has been practiced. An awareness that allows me to catch it and then have a conversation with myself about it. And that has been developed by all of those things I just said, the cold plunging, the meditating, What about you? What do you do when you start getting off track and not in the moment? How do you bring yourself back?
That's tough. I don't know. I don't know where I heard this from, but it's very powerful. And it's telling myself, like, if I am getting worked up about something or overthinking about something, that I am not my thoughts, that I'm a witness to my thought, just like I'm witnessing something on TV or I'm witnessing things on my phone. I am not
just the observer.
I'm just watching, and I guess giving myself permission to not respond and not have an emotional reaction to everything, and being more logical and 30,000 feet in the sky view of life. What's my role here? What do I need to do here? What really needs to happen here?
Faith just said that this morning. Zoom out.
Yeah. It's so powerful, because then you just, I'm out in space, floating down, looking at the world. I see myself, and all these emotions and crazy thoughts that I have about my situation that's so intense don't exist. So
it's just a moment in time.
What just needs to happen here? What do we need to do to? Sometimes the answer to that is just go away, leave the situation, walk out of the room, don't engage in an argument with you, or tell Ben to do something. Just leave it alone. And it's not a battle that I need to engage in, or someone challenging my ego, anything like that that's outside of my being able to witness the situation for what it is and not insert my need to be right or my need to be heard or
To
just
fix.
so powerful. Just observe, let things be, just being able to have enough awareness about the situation to not take it personal, I guess.
Sure.
And just,
Yeah. You know what's funny about all of those things? They sound so good and they are rich.
easy to talk about. Yeah.
They are rich and they work and it's true. And I can say them with a lot of conviction.
Yeah.
They're not easy. They are not easy
Yeah.
to do. None of them. 5 a.m. It's not easy to get up. It's not easy to be consistent. It's not easy to stay present. You're not going to do it right.
Yeah.
You're not going to do it right. And you're not going to nail it 100% of the time. So I suppose the next portion of that is like, give yourself a freaking break. Like forgive yourself when you don't get up at 5 a.m., when you aren't consistent, when you fall off the diet wagon, when you do react and you didn't give yourself time to come back into the present moment. Like we're human. We're not going to get it right. The best thing that we can do is just continue to show up and try, right?
That is 100% right. And that is why, like I've said before, my philosophy is that every day is a lifetime in itself.
Mm-hmm.
And that tomorrow is a fresh start when that alarm goes off at 5. If I didn't get up today at 5 a.m. and I didn't get my book, I didn't get to read, I didn't get to work out, or I lost my shit with my kid, or we had an argument, or tomorrow's a new day, a brand new day, a fresh start. And today, it doesn't matter what story I want to tell myself about yesterday. And like, it's done. There's nothing anyone can do about it. Tomorrow's a fresh new day. And when that alarm goes off, I get to prove to myself that I can do it and make it happen. And that's very freeing and very powerful to know that you get a do-over. You get another do-over tomorrow.
I'll challenge you to that thought, though, that it isn't just tomorrow's a new day. It's like every moment is a new moment. At any point during your day, you have the ability to say, you know what? I didn't get up. I had a shitty breakfast. I ate sugary bullshit. I didn't read my book. I feel like going back to bed. At any point during the day, you have the ability to go, the day doesn't have to continue like this.
Yeah.
Right now, I can make a different choice. And that's the beautiful part about being a human, is that we do have the cognitive and conscious ability to reason. And it's just determining that we have permission to do that with ourselves.
I think also having an accountability to what you're doing is huge. Mm-hmm. Having an accountability partner, someone that's, in it with you, is just very powerful too.
And a community of people that expect you to, not expect, but are there when you show up and are showing up just like you, and sharing and struggling and succeeding and resetting every time. What would have been your answer to your question of like, what's the one thing that you've implemented that has made a dramatic change in your life?
I would say 5 a.m.
Yeah.